Hello everybody and welcome to our off-season changes video here for our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode entering season number 4 as we are confirming the series we're going to participate in for the season. Of course, the usual Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series. So, of course, we're going to start with the Cup Series. We have multiple teams. We have an option to join Rick Ware Racing, Front Row, RFK, JGR, and of course, re-signing with Trackhouse is an option. So we're going to decide to re-up another year in the number 99 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing to try to get a four-peat of championships. So we stay for now, but it's only a one-year extension. We've signed with Trackhouse Racing in the number 99, so we do that. And then for Xfinity, what we are actually going to do here is we are obviously going to be joining a new team for this upcoming season for our part-time schedule. So we've decided to stick with Chevrolet here, I believe, as we look at JGR, JRM, and Stewart Haas, our three options. We decide Junior Motorsports. I see a few of the things here. We're going to re-sign. Oh, no, we're going to sign now with JR Motorsports driving the number 9 car. I just put Corey LaJoie as a base filler driver for that car, but we're going to be driving the number 9 with sponsorship from Hellman's, GoPro, and Dude Wipes. So there you go. We'll be driving the 9 truck and Xfinity for our select starts, and then for the Craftsman Truck Series, we have a lot of options here. CR7 Motorsports, GMS, KBM, ThorSport, and of course Tricon Garage, where we drove a season ago in the number 1 truck, which we are going to re-up once again in the number 1 Toyota in the Craftsman Truck Series. So there you go. We have our ride set for Cup, Xfinity, and Truck going into, of course, this 4th season of our career mode as we try to become a 4-time consecutive Cup Series champion, trying to break Jimmy Johnson's 5 in a row. But we have a new playoff format for the NASCAR Cup Series here that I'm going to go over with you. So it's still a 10-race playoffs, except now, of course, we'll be calling it the Chase for the Cup, as it should be called here in the NASCAR Cup Series. And so to qualify for the Chase, it is the top 10 and regular season points make the Chase no matter what. And then there are 2 wild card drivers that make it. Those are the top 2 drivers from 11th to 20th in the regular season point standings who have won a race are those 2 wild cards who are going to qualify for the playoffs. And so then the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, they are, just the normal playoff rounds. You got 3 races, 4 drivers eliminated after each 3 races. So we go from 12 to 8, and of course 8 to the championship 4. But there's a difference here with the championship 4. We now have a championship round. It is no longer a singular race. It is now a 4-race campaign where the highest remaining in the point standings after the 4 races is your NASCAR Cup Series champion. And so those 4 races will be composed of a road course, a super speedway, a short track, and a 1.5 mile intermediate. So it'll be on every type of racetrack to prove who is really the best driver in the Cup Series. And so we have also new points. The race winner, instead of earning 40 points, will be earning 50 for a race victory, with second place through 40th remaining the same with the amount of points that they have earned. And then stage points also remain the same, 10 for first, all the way down to 1 for 10th, with the playoff points being awarded, 1 for a stage win, 5 for a race win. Those do not change. But what does change is at the end of the regular season champion usually gets 15 bonus playoff points. But this year, the regular season champ is going to get 25 bonus playoff points instead of 15. Second will get 10, and the rest will stay normal throughout the top 10 and regular season points, getting bonus playoff points for the playoffs. So that is your new NASCAR Cup Series Chase for the Cup playoffs format. Pause if you would like to read through it if I didn't say it clearly enough. Now I will be going to explain some other intricacies of the new format before we start looking at some of our new paint schemes and driver changes for the Cup Series. And now you're going to the NASCAR Xfinity Series new playoff format, which is very similar to the NASCAR Cup Series. It's the same, except for Xfinity, they now have a 10-race Chase for the Cup instead of 7. The qualifications are still the same, top 10 in points, 2 wild cards, first 2 rounds, 3 races, 4 drivers eliminated, 4-race championship rounds, same races, race winner earns 50, second through 38 the same, stage points, playoff points remain the same, and the regular season champion also gets that bonus of 25 instead of 15 playoff points. So Xfinity, basically the same format as Cup, just adding 3 races to the regular Xfinity playoffs. Now we get the Craftsman Truck Series new playoff system. Now for them, it is a 7-race Chase for the Cup instead of 10. So now it is only the top 5 in regular season points that are guaranteed to make the chase with 3 wild cards, those being the top 3 drivers from 6th to 15th in points who have won a race. And now they only have 1 round where it's 3 races and 4 drivers get eliminated, and then so it'll be 8 drivers, and so they'll get down to 4, and then it'll be the same championship round of 4 races, and then the same distribution of race winning points, stage points, playoff points, and regular season champion points. So no difference there compared to the other formats. Very similar, Truck, Xfinity, and Cup. So those are your new playoff systems, points format for all of them. Like I said, pause if you'd like. Now we're going to look at your NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series off-season changes here, starting with Lawless Allen, returning to the number 33 for Rayon Brothers Racing for another season. I know in there I kind of got the truck model wrong, but that'll be fixed. Marco Andretti in the 04, Tyler Ankrum, another season in the number 18, Leona Chevy. He'll be back. Spencer Boyd will be back behind the wheel at number 76. Tony Bradinger behind the wheel at number 11 for Tricon Garage, trying to improve in her second year. Of course, we re-signed with Tricon in the number 1 truck part-time, so we'll be trying to make some good starts there. Get a couple of truck wins when we can. Matt Crafton, 3-time champ, back in the 88 once again in the Craftsman Truck Series. Corey Day, our first big change, will be going full-time Craftsman Truck Series racing for Spire Motorsports, driving the number 71. So we'll see what Corey Day can do in a full-time competitive Truck Series ride as he tries to be one of those 8 drivers to make the chase. And then Matt DiBenedetto has gone back down to the Craftsman Truck Series, joining Tricon Garage, replacing Tanner Gray, driving the number 15 Dead On Tools Toyota. So we'll see what Matty D can do back in an elite Truck Series ride. Grant Enfinger just switches numbers from the 23 to the 9, of course, now driving for CR7 Motorsports after the closure of GMS Racing. So Enfinger back in the 9. We still expect him to be a contender for the championship as always. Friesen back another year in the 52. Jake Garcia returns to the 13. No surprises there, but another big change. Connor Hall has been promoted by McNally Hilgeman Racing full-time, driving the number 91 Chevrolet full-time. So that's the 4th full-time McNally truck. You got the 91, the 19, and the 18 and the 43. You got Timmy Hill here, another year in 56. Defending champion Caden Honeycutt returns to the 45 as he tries to become a 2-time Craftsman Truck Series champion after an impressive rookie season. And then Connor Jones trying to replicate that Cinderella playoff run he had last season, back in the number 66 another year for ThorSport. So we'll see what Connor Jones can do. And then Corey LaJoy back another year in the number 7 truck. So he'll be part-time. That's Aspire part-time truck to 7. He'll be in there. Kyle Busch will be in there. Probably Connor Mozak, a couple other guys rotating some truck starts. Mason Maggio will be full-time in the number 20 truck for Young's Motorsports. So see what Maggio can do in a full truck season in a mid-pack equipment. Ty Majeski, of course, the real-life champ, returns to the number 98 Ford for ThorSport as he tries to get redemption for how he lost a championship in heartbreaking fashion this past season in our career mode of the blown tire at Homestead. Then Mason Massey returns to 02. Matt Mills is back into 42. And then Brett Moffitt is returning to Craftsman Truck Series competition, the former truck champ, driving the number 4 Chevrolet for Hedinger Racing, of course, purchasing the assets of Brett Holmes Racing, who has shut down. Moffitt will now be the Hedinger Racing's driver in the number 4 truck. So we'll see what Moffitt can do. And then then you got another Moffitt in here. This time it's Thad Moffitt taking over Daniel Dye's number 43 truck here. Daniel Dye, of course, graduating to Xfinity. Thad Moffitt full-time in the Truck Series in the 43 for McNally Hilgeman. How about Frankie Muniz getting a full-time ride? Number 22 for Rayon Brothers Racing. Muniz finally getting a big opportunity and one of the big 3 series in NASCAR. Frankie Muniz full-time in trucks this season for Rayon Brothers Racing. And then Stephen Parsons returns to the 41 for another season. And how about Andres Perez de Lara getting promoted to replace the graduating Nick Sanchez for Rev Racing in the number 2 Chevy. So definitely high expectations for Andres Perez and his rookie campaign in the Truck Series. Expect him to do well and be competitive, fighting for wins. And then Chase Purdy, another year in the 77, going to try to improve on what was a disappointing 2025 campaign. Ben Rhodes back in the number 99. Kubota Ford, 2-time truck champ, still looking for that elusive 3rd title. Lane Riggs returns to the number 38 Ford, trying to get redemption for how he was just short of making the championship for last season. Expect him to be a favorite for the title. And how about the rookie Gio Ruggiero, going to be full-time in the number 17 truck for Tricon Garage, replacing the departing William Sawalich. So Gio Ruggiero promoted to full-time truck competition for Tricon Garage. Excited to see what he can do this season. And also Dawson Sutton has been promoted. The full-time driver, the number 25, Rackley War Chevy, of course, replacing the departing Ryan Preece, who put up monster numbers in that truck. We'll see what Dawson Sutton can do at his father's team, and the number 25 for Rackley War Racing. And then Dean Thompson back in the number 5 once more, and Jack Wood following him returns to number 19, Napa Chevrolet from McNally Hildman. So there's your truck off-season changes. Now we'll look at your schedule for the 2024 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. Of course, some of these races are subject to change depending on how things go. But the Truck Series, of course, will start out their season at Daytona, as always. Then we will go to Atlanta and Las Vegas. First 3 races remain the same for the trucks. And then Gateway will be the 4th race of the season now for the Truck Series. So we got Gateway on the schedule, and then Martinsville, Bristol, Dover, Texas, and Kansas. Going to be the first 9 races of the Craftsman Truck Series campaign. And then they will go to Eldora, a dirt race once again, and then Charlotte Motor Speedway, as always, on Coke 600 weekend. And then Kentucky will be on schedule once again, followed up by a second race at Texas, and then Pocono, Mid-Ohio on the road course, Phoenix, another road course in Sonoma, and then the regular season finale for the Truck Series will be at the Richmond Raceway, as it was a season ago. And then the Truck Series round of 8, 3-race round, will be Darlington for the first time of the season, and then the Bristol night race, and then Gateway. So Darlington, Bristol, and Gateway, a pretty fun round of 8 there for the Craftsman Truck Series. And their championship round will, like I said, be composed of a road course, a super speedway, a short track, and intermediate. So it'll be Mid-Ohio, Talladega, Martinsville, and of course the final race at Homestead Miami Speedway, as it has been the past couple of seasons. So that is your current tentative NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series schedule here. And now we'll be looking at the NASCAR Xfinity Series off-season driver and team changes before we look at their schedule as well. Now the NASCAR Xfinity Series off-season changes here. Anthony Alfredo returns for another year in the number 5 for Our Motorsports and the Dude Wipe Chevy. So Alfredo back for another year. Justin Allgaier, your real-life Xfinity Series champion, back, of course, for another year in the number 7 Branch Chevrolet, as Allgaier looks to bounce back from an unfortunate playoff missing season a season ago. And then Cesar Baccarella will be rotating amongst a bunch of different drivers in that number 45 car for Alpha Prime Racing, as they do some part-time starts this season. And then Harrison Burton, big change here, will be driving number 38 in the Xfinity Series for RSS Racing. He'll be splitting that car with Lane Riggs throughout the year. So interesting to see what Riggs and Burton can do splitting this 38 car, as both try to find a way to the NASCAR Cup Series soon. And then Jeb Burton will be number 27 once again. Roger Carruth returns to number 1 Hendrick Chevy for JR Motorsports, as he tries to chase a championship after an impressive rookie campaign from young Raja. And then Jeremy Clements returns to number 51 in the Xfinity Series. Sheldon Creed, big change, goes over to Haas Factory Team now to drive the 00 Mobil 1 Ford. So we'll see what Sheldon Creed can do in a Ford for Haas Factory Team in this brand new campaign. Then an interesting change here. Austin Dillon returns from retirement to the NASCAR Xfinity Series to drive the number 92 Chevy for DGM Racing, so he can do one season against his brother Ty, who's full-time for Colleague Racing in the number 16 Ferris Mowers Chevrolet. So we'll see how the Dillon brothers do together in Xfinity Series competition. Neither of them driving for old Grandpa Richard Childress. So, of course, Ty Dillon replacing A.J. Allmendinger, who has moved on. And then here's Daniel Dye, as I mentioned, graduating from the Truck Series. Colleague Racing taps Daniel Dye to drive the number 10 Chevrolet full-time in the Xfinity Series for this season. It's interesting to see what Daniel Dye can do in his rookie campaign. And here we go. We got the Chase Elliott will be behind the wheel at number 17 at Daytona. This will be, of course, this Hendrick car will be split between all their main 4 guys in the Cup Series of Elliott, Larson, Byron, and Bowman. So Elliott will be behind the wheel at Daytona as the Hendrick 17 car tries to chase an owner's title this season. Then Ryan Ellis will be behind the wheel of the number 91 Chevrolet for DGM Racing, as he jumps over to DGM after leaving Alpha Prime. So Ryan Ellis to DGM Racing for the season. And then Noah Gragson has brought Rhett Jones Racing, Xfinity Racing, in the number 30 Airbox Ford. Gregson will be splitting this car with other drivers, of course. So Gregson will start us out at Daytona for Rhett Jones in the Xfinity Series. And then Tanner Gray will be behind the wheel, the number 26 Toyota for Sam Hunt Racing, as of course he's moving up from the Truck Series to be full-time in Xfinity alongside his brother Taylor, who has come back for another year in the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing, trying to improve on a disappointing rookie campaign. And Daniel Hemrick, the 2021 Xfinity champ, returns to Kaulig Racing for the second time in his career in Xfinity, back to the number 11 Circle Chevrolet after a tough Cup year. Riley Earps also has been demoted to the NASCAR Xfinity Series from his Cup ride at RFK. Earps now back in the number 98 for Haas Factory team. So Earps will be teammates with Sheldon Creed. Leland Honeyman back for another year in the 42. Brandon Jones returns to Joe Gibbs Racing in that number 19 Menards Toyota. Of course, Brandon Jones trying to salvage his career after some very, very disappointing seasons with Junior Motorsports in the number 9. Brandon Jones back in the 19 at Joe Gibbs Racing for season 4. Carson Quaffle another year in the number 8. But if you'll notice, the number 8 is different. That is the DEI number 8 font is back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Carson Quaffle here at JR Motorsports. It looks beautiful on that iRacing paint scheme, as well as the Bass Pro Shops and Jarrett Systems paint scheme. So it's going to be so cool to the DEI number 8 back in Xfinity competition with Carson Quaffle behind the wheel. And then, of course, we'll be driving number 9 Chevrolet with a bunch of different sponsors. We already said that in the early portion of the video, of course, when we were signing with our teams. Corey LaJoy is the base driver to put in there that I, of course, replaced driving number 9. So we'll see what we can do in a few select starts for JR Motorsports this upcoming season in the Xfinity Series. And then following our ride number 9, Jesse Love returns for his third year in the Xfinity Series in the number 2 Whelen Chevy. So we'll see what Jesse Love can do there. And then Connor Mozak returns and gets a promotion up from Sam Hunt Racing to Junior Motorsports, driving a 5th car, the number 88, full-time, the Chevy Truck Season Chevy for JR Motorsports after winning a race last season and making the playoffs for Sam Hunt Racing. Mozak gets promoted to Junior Motorsports with a variety of different sponsors. So we'll see what Mozak can do in elite equipment in a full-time Xfinity campaign. Stephen Parsons will be making some Xfinity starts in the number 43 for Alpha Prime Racing, as well as being full-time in the Truck Series. Blaine Perkins stays full-time Xfinity, but switches from the second-hour motorsports car to the number 29 for Ryan Sieg Racing. Brendan Poole returns to number 44 for another season for Alpha Prime, as well as following him, Parker Retzloff returns for another season in the number 21 Chevrolet. So Retzloff will try to improve on an impressive first year with RCR, winning a couple of races, making the round of 8. Then Nick Sanchez promoted to full-time Xfinity competition. Sanchez will be replacing the retired Parker Kligerman and the number 48 Chevy for Big Machine Racing. Excited to see what Sanchez can do, as well as William Sawalich, who's going full-time Xfinity Racing, driving number 81 Starkey Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. So Sawalich promoted from the Truck Series, and then Kyle Sieg and Ryan Sieg stay in their respective cars, 28 and 39. They'll be back for another campaign. Of course, no surprise there. Sammy Smith moves over from the colleague number 10 to Jordan Anderson Racing, replacing Ty Dillon, who left. So Sammy Smith will be behind the wheel of the number 31 Pilot Chevrolet for Jordan Anderson this season as he continues to bounce between Chevrolet teams. And then Ryan Truex finally gets the full-time opportunity that he has deserved, that he's worked his butt off for. Ryan Truex will be driving number 18 Toyota full-time for Joe Gibbs Racing this upcoming Xfinity Series season. And then Ryan Vargas returns to number 32 for another season. And then Connor Zilisch will try to get redemption from the disappointing championship result last season as he returns to the Trackhouse number 99 for his sophomore season. Zilisch continues to impress. So that's your Xfinity Series off-season driver and team changes. Now we'll be looking at the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule for this upcoming season, where, of course, Xfinity will start out, as always, with Daytona and Atlanta, the first 2 races kicking off the season. That does not change. Then for the third race of the year, we'll be going to Mid-Ohio to get a road course out of the way early in the Xfinity campaign, followed by Phoenix, Las Vegas, Auto Club, so a little West Coast swing with Phoenix, Vegas, and Fontana. And then we'll be going to the Martinsville Speedway, followed by Throwback Weekend in Darlington, Bristol Day Race, and then Dover, Talladega, and Texas. Those are your first 12 races of the season. Then following that, we will have Charlotte Motor Speedway, Kentucky, Canada now in the middle of the Xfinity Series season as it was last season. And then Pocono, Atlanta, Road America, Sonoma. So back-to-back road courses right there. Dover, the Indy road course, so 3 out of 4 races are road courses. Then Richmond and Watkins Glen will be your regular season finale here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series before they begin their playoffs at Daytona because of the way the schedule fell this season. Xfinity playoffs, their round of 12 will be Daytona, New Hampshire, and Michigan. So very interesting to see how that all plays out. Then the Xfinity Series round of 8 is going to be Bristol, Kansas, and Las Vegas. So those 2 rounds are, the exact same as always. And then their championship round for the Xfinity Series will start with the Charlotte Roval, followed by Talladega, Martinsville, and Homestead for the 4 races in the Xfinity Series championship round. So that is your NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule for our 4th season of our NASCAR Heat 5 2023 Mod Career Mode. Now we're going to be looking at the NASCAR Cup Series off-season driver and team changes, which should be very interesting, followed by the schedule, and after that we'll conclude our off-season changes video. And now look at your NASCAR Cup Series off-season changes for season number 4. I know this is what you have all been waiting for. We saved it for the very end, starting with Anthony Alfredo and Jesse Love, among a bunch of other drivers, splitting this 3rd Richard Childress Racing entry, the number 33, part-time throughout this Cup Series campaign. Anthony Alfredo will start us off in the Daytona 500. Jesse Love will make a handful of starts, as well as other drivers like Parker Retzlaff, and so we'll see how that goes. So RCR brings the 3rd car. AJ Allmendinger is back full-time Cup racing behind the wheel of the number 16 Chevrolet for Colleague Racing. So AJ back in the number 16 full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series for this year. Christopher Bell, of course, back in the number 20 for another year as he still tries to find that elusive Cup Series championship that he's been so close to. And a big change here, Josh Berry. We drive the number 35 Overstock Ford in a 3rd Front Row Motorsports entry full-time this season. So Berry behind the wheel of the number 35 Overstock Ford. So see what Berry can do, of course, after the closure of Stewart-Haas Racing. He moves over to Front Row. 2023 Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney returns to the wheel of the number 12 Menards Ford, so expect Blaney to be one of the favorites to make it to the championship for this season. Bowman back in the 48 for Hendrick Motorsports for another year. Of course, Bowman had a very solid season number 3, couple of wins, made the round of 12. Not too much to complain about there. Of course, we are back once again, as we saw earlier, re-signing to the Trackhouse Racing to drive the number 99 Chevrolet one more time to go for the 4-peat, as we will be rocking a variation of different paint schemes this season, as you will see as the season progresses. So obviously, we're starting with our special paint scheme we ran at Homestead for the championship last season. We're running this at Daytona. Still a few edits to be made to it. And then Chase Briscoe will be returning to the number 2 Chase Briscoe, a big move here. Briscoe signing with Team Penske to drive the number 2 High Point Ford for this upcoming 2026 season. Cindric booted out of that ride due to poor performance. Penske jumps on the opportunity to sign Chase Briscoe, who made the playoffs in a dying year for Stewart-Haas Racing. He'll be the number 2 full-time for Team Penske. Chris Buescher returns to the number 17 for another year with RFK. Kyle Busch back for his 4th year with Richard Childress Racing at this point in the number 8 machine. Busch still looking for that win, as he has not won in any of our seasons of the career mode, which is quite shocking to see Kyle Busch go winless for this long period of time. William Byron back in the number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports for another season. No surprise there with his usual sponsors of Exalta and Liberty. Our teammate Chastain returns to number 1 Busch Light Chevy for another year. Of course, we went 1-2 in the championship last year. We're going to try to repeat that again this season. Ross, Chastain, and I back in the number 1 and 99 for Trackhouse this year. And then Austin Cindric does land on his feet in the Cup Series, signing with the Wood Brothers, of course. Honestly, like adopted child at Team Penske, that number 21. Cindric goes over the 21, replacing Cole Custer, who, of course, is moving on to the Haas factory team to drive for the team that his father will be help running. And then a 00 Haas Ford Mustang Dark Horse. So Custer, Xfinity Series champion, up to the Cup Series in the 00 full-time with variation different sponsors and the lone Haas team that they are keeping. Christian Eckes, after making a handful of Cup starts a season ago, promoted to full-time for Colleague Racing, driving the number 31 Celsius Chevrolet, replacing, of course, Daniel Hemrick, who went back down to Xfinity. So Eckes up to Cup in the number 31 for his rookie season. Chase Elliott back for another year in the number 9. No surprise there. We expect Chase Elliott to be once again a contender for the championship, as he was last season before he and I made contact in that dramatic end to the championship race. Ty Gibbs returns to number 54 for another season, still looking for that elusive first career win. And then Todd Gilliland gets promoted to the flagship number 34 for Front Row Motorsports, driving the Loves Ford, of course, moving over from the number 38 after Michael McDowell, of course, departed. So we'll see where McDowell landed shortly. But Gilliland behind the wheel, the number 34 full-time, alongside Noah Gragson, taking over Todd Gilliland's spot in the number 38 Beefaroo Ford. So your defending Xfinity Series champion in our universe, Noah Gragson, up to the Cup Series for Front Row Motorsports in 38, teaming up with Josh Berry and Todd Gilliland. And then another big change following Gragson going to Front Row here in the Cup Series is going to be Justin Haley going full-time now for RFK Racing in their third car, the number 60 Walmart Ford. Big move here. Justin Haley did his time at Rick Ware Racing. Now will be full-time in Cup for RFK and that number 60 Walmart Ford. Excited to see what he can do in good equipment here in the NASCAR Cup Series. And then Denny Hamlin returns for another year in the number 11 with primary sponsorship from Mavis Tire and Brakes. Of course, you'll notice FedEx departing Denny Hamlin, no longer going to be sponsoring him as they have moved on to other things within the company. So Hamlin back for another year in the number 11 with Mavis as his primary sponsor. And then Corey Heim returns for his sophomore season for 2311 Racing after an impressive rookie campaign, falling just short of the playoffs but having some really bright spots, flashes being shown. Austin Hill, his sophomore season as well in the number 3 Bennett Chevrolet as Hill tries to find his way into victory lane for the first time. And how about Carson Hocevar back in the number 77 for a third year, trying to continue on the momentum he and Spire Motorsports have been building. As of course last season he was just short of making the playoffs, but had a really, really strong season going and had some really, really strong runs. So I expect to see more good runs from Hocevar. Then we brought up Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time Cup Series champion. We'll be back behind the wheel, the number 84 Toyota for Legacy Motor Club, part-time, of course, doing some select starts, rotating around this season. So, of course, we'll see what Jimmy Johnson can do. And then Eric Jones returns to the 43 Toyota Legacy Motor Club, keeping their lineup the same for this season. Brad Keselowski, of course, returns for another year as an owner-driver in the number 6 Castrol Ford. No surprise there. Keselowski still trying to build on, was a solid last season. So he still tries to make it back to the Championship 4. And then Kyle Larson, of course, brings back the normal HendrickCars.com paint scheme we would expect him to have for this season as he tries to make the Championship 4 once again, as he did last season, and not lay an egg like he did in last season's championship race. Joey Logano back for another year in the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. A slightly different paint scheme, though, for Logano, as he tries to make the Final Four here in what will be an even year. So we'll see if the streak is alive and Logano can make it happen. And then Sam Mayer returns to the 88 for Junior Motorsports for his second season. I expect to see some improvement out of the JRM team as they continue to build a Cup Series team together and they try to get things going there. And then Michael McDowell, as I mentioned, he left Front Row. That's because he is joining Spire Motorsports to be that veteran presence, driving the number 71 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports with sponsorship from Roto-Rooter and Benabone this season. So interesting to see what Michael McDowell can do behind the wheel of the number 71 Chevrolet. And of course, like I mentioned, Legacy Motor Club keep their lineup the same. Nemechek back for another year in Cup. And then Ryan Preece promoted all the way up to the Cup Series from that Truck Series campaign he had last season, driving for Rick Ware Racing. And their lone entry, the number 15 Ford, with sponsorship from Hunt Brothers Pizza, United Rentals, and others. So Preece now back full-time in the Cup Series in the number 15 Ford after doing his time back in the Truck Series. Tyler Reddick back for another year in the 45 for 2311 Racing, as he, of course, tries to make the Championship 4 after what was an extremely disappointing playoff run last season, being eliminated in the very first round. And then Chandler Smith will be back for his sophomore season of Cup Series competition in the number 18 Toyota for JGR full-time with sponsorship from Quick Tie, Alaska Airlines, and Mobil 1. So Chandler Smith back in the number 18 for another season. And then Zane Smith will be in the 4th Front Row Motorsports entry. Of course, they purchased 2 of those Stewart-Haas Charters. So front row lineup is going to be Todd Gilliland, Noah Gragson, Josh Berry, and now Zane Smith back in the number 36 like he was a couple of seasons ago. And then Ricky Stenhouse returns to the number 47 for JTG Doherty Racing once again. Still hanging on to that Kroger sponsorship for at least one more season. And then Daniel Suarez will complete Spire Motorsports 3-driver lineup, joining Michael McDowell and Carson Hocevar. Suarez finally able to return to Cup, replacing Corey LaJoie in that number 7 full-time here in the Cup Series. So we'll see what Suarez can do with Spire Motorsports in the number 7. And then Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, has been brought in the house here at Trackhouse Racing. He will be a teammate alongside Chastain and I. He will now be driving the number 97 WeatherTech Chevrolet, of course, changing over from the number 16 to the 97. SVG full-time in his number 97 here in the Cup Series. Excited to see what he can do as he still tries to improve on the ovals and find a way to become a playoff driver. And then ended off, Bubba Wallace, of course, returns to the number 23 in a prove-it year for 2311 Racing. Wallace and Reddick return to the team. Now look at your NASCAR Cup Series schedule for the season number 4. As always, we start off with the Daytona 500, the Great American Race, followed by Atlanta as race number 2. This time Mid-Ohio, moving up to race number 3 in the season. And then we have our West Coast swing going to Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Fontana. And then we go to Martinsville, Darlington, Bristol, Talladega, Texas early in the season, and Kansas to conclude our first 12 races. And then we go to Charlotte and Kentucky. And then we have our mid-season in-season tournament for the very first time, starting with our 3 in-season tournament qualifying races at Michigan, Canada, and Pocono. So the best finish for each driver in those 3 races will determine their seeding for our in-season tournament. And then the 5 in-season tournament races are going to be Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second time this season, Chicagoland, Sonoma, Dover, and the Brickyard 400 will be the in-season tournament finale, where the $2 million prize is on the line. So we'll see how fun it will be this year with the in-season tournament thrown into things during the middle of the regular season. And our last 4 races of the regular season following the in-season tournament are going to be Richmond, New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, and the regular season finale, of course, is once again at Daytona, as always. And then the Cup Series round of 12, their first round of the chase for the Cup is going to be the Southern 500 at Darlington, followed by Gateway, which should be exciting to have that race in the playoffs, as well as the Bristol night race and a very good round of 12. Then the round of 8 will have Kansas, Iowa, and Las Vegas as the 3 round of 8 racetracks before our championship round, which will be Charlotte Roval, Talladega, Martinsville, and Homestead. Same thing as the NASCAR Xfinity Series. As, of course, we will crown our champion in this chase for the Cup in a 4-race final round. Of course, notable changes for the schedule. We got the in-season tournament thrown in there, as well as some different playoff tracks. So there's your NASCAR Cup Series schedule for season number 4. And now we'll quickly wrap up this episode. And as always, before the end the episode, I'm going to give a shout out to my channel members. So thank you very much to Brenda Breen and Jeremy Isley for your continued support. I really appreciate it. It continues to help me and this channel continue to grow and do great things on our road to 1,000 subscribers. Of course, those of you that are watching that are not subscribed, I would really, really appreciate it if you did subscribe. It means a lot to me. It only takes 2 seconds and it's completely free, and it will help my channel continue to grow. And then if any of you want to become channel members and get your shout outs in these videos, the link is in the description down below to get access to exclusive perks, or you can hit the join button next to my channel. So until next episode, I hope you all have a good one.